Hi everyone, I am excited for our speakers today because if you hop in my car or my husband's car, it's always on WCBU, and my boys who are soon to be 16 and 13 always go, oh, NPR. But recently, each of them separately told me something from a story they heard on NPR, so I think we've won, at least for now. So we are going to hear from several folks at WCBU. They are R.C. McBride, General Manager, Daniel Musisi, who is the Assistant Audio Director and host of the All Things Peoria Daily News magazine, and Anna Chumley, who's Corporate Support Director. And Kristen McHugh, who we all know, yes, she's there too. You guys know Kristen as one of our members. She's also a news reporter and anchor for the station. So I'm going to introduce RC, and then he'll introduce his colleagues as they join us to talk and present. So RC began his broadcast career at WDAN, WDNL in his hometown of Danville, Illinois, while he was still a high school student. In 1997, he started at WJBC in Bloomington Normal, holding various positions over 15 years. RC won a National Edward R. Murrow Award for Best Radio Newscast, and the station won 2 Marconi Awards as National Radio Station of the Year during his tenure. He also won the Illinois Broadcasters Association's Silver Dome Award as the state's best medium market play-by-play announcer in 2002. In 2012, RC moved to Illinois State University as Assistant Director of University Marketing and Communications. He held that position with the university while also serving as WGLT's interim general manager during 2016 before assuming the GM role on a permanent basis January 1st, 2017. In 2019, WGLT and Illinois State University entered into an agreement with Bradley University to manage the day-to-day operations of WCBU, Peoria Public Radio, which has been a great win for our community. As a result of the partnership, WCBU is on the uptick. We have increasing local content and staff. They've launched a Peoria-focused daily news podcast and a new half-hour daily local news magazine. They've balanced the budget, and the station won the 2021 Small Market Radio Station of the Year honors from the Illinois News Broadcasters Association. Now I'll turn it over to RC.
Thank you all very much. Hopefully you can hear me okay. And sorry, I couldn't be there in person with you today. I hate missing an opportunity to make some new friends, but hopefully that's something we can remedy a little bit down the road. Now, we'll try to hold your attention as best we can for the next 3 hours. We only have a few hundred slides to go through. So, you know, it's actually better when I'm maybe not there and I can't see your groans and eye rolls when I attempt humor. So apology for that. Yeah, I'm sure I can pick up some groans just looking around. I do also want to, I promised I would give Kristen a shout out. So Kristen, here's your shout out. She is really one of our stars. There's no question about that. And she's one of the great people with WCBU that I've had an opportunity to get to know during this adventure over the last several years. And of course, Daniel and Anna, who've already been introduced, will be chiming in here a little bit later on, and they are fantastic contributors to our operation as well. So as we move on to our first slide, I never want to assume that everyone knows what WCBU is, although I'm sure this is probably pretty basic information for some of you. But of course, WCBU is a non-commercial, nonprofit radio station. That's a specific category defined by the FCC. It is licensed to and owned by Bradley University with its studios on the top floor of Morgan Hall on the Bradley University campus. And again, day-to-day management is undertaken by Illinois State University as a result of the agreement that was mentioned a little while ago that went into place in the summer of 2019. So it's a nonprofit. It is funded entirely by the community and by state and federal grants. So you are all the ones that keep us in business and allow us to continue not only as an NPR member radio station, but also as a public service. Now, before we move on to Daniel, I wanted to just give a really quick overview and a quick history, because again, it's already been mentioned that day-to-day management is conducted by Illinois State University and WGLT, which is Illinois State's counterpart NPR member radio station. And why and how did that come to be? As some of you might remember, several years ago, there was some question about what WCBU's future would be, and there are a lot of reasons for that. Some of those probably best not to get into, although certainly I'll be back a little bit later on for a Q&A. I had reached out in my position at WGLT to administrators at Bradley and to WCBU just to see how we could help. Fortunately, we do kind of consider ourselves, all public radio stations, kind of peers and cousins of one another, and we're in positions generally where we do try to help one another if we can. So that's how conversations started, was just, hey, is there something we can do? Can we help out? One thing led to another, and it quickly emerged that there was an opportunity for a win-win partnership. And that led to the agreement that commenced on June 1st of 2019. The idea behind the partnership is pretty straightforward, and that is by combining the management, the back office, and the business operations of the two stations, WCBU in Peoria and WGLT in Normal, each station could actually increase the percentage of its budget that is dedicated to local content serving their individual communities. And I'm happy to report that that has been successful. Both stations have been able to do precisely that as a result of this arrangement. We at WCBU have increased the local Peoria-based content journalism staff. It was 1.5 people in 2019. It is now 4 full-time journalists, plus 2 half-time journalists, plus a host of Peoria-based correspondents. Plus, I'm also happy to report several Bradley University students who are paid interns with the radio station. And it's our hope that we will continue to grow from here. But of course, that can't happen unless we can pay the bills. The budget is balanced now. Thank you all for your contributions in making that happen. But it is our hope to continue to grow down the road. So I'll be back for Q&A a little bit later on, but certainly we want to talk a little bit more about the day-to-day news and programming, as well as some more of the business and underwriting and sponsorship opportunities that are available. So we will do the former first. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Daniel Musisi. Daniel?
Thanks, RC. Hi, Rotary North. I'm Daniel Musisi. Forgive me, I get a little nervous with public speaking. I'm used to speaking more so to directly one of you using a fine microphone like this. I'm currently in studio here at Morgan Hall on the 4th floor. And yeah, I will talk to you briefly about the staff. I think RC kind of touched on the history, but WCBU was founded in 1970 at Bradley University, transitioning from WRBU student radio and becoming a charter member of NPR, with a focus on the community of Greater Peoria. With that, WCBU has aired city council meetings from the early days, and we still do that today. We do that these days with the help of some of our wonderful Bradley interns who help us engineer those city council meetings from the station here. And here you can see a photo of some of our fine team members. Our staff is small but mighty and still growing. Our latest full-time reporter is Hannah Alani, who I believe joined us this past summer. And she's been doing a great job. She's been reporting on many, many incredible stories, and she has taken on the duty of hosting our daily news podcast On Deck as well. She's doing wonderful. And we also have a great little team of WCBU correspondents that do great work for us as well, like Mike Rundle or Steve Tartar, some names you might have heard on air, and some voices you might have heard on air. And we also have a nice little team of Bradley interns, as RC mentioned, who do some really great work for us. One of our newest interns has become our On Deck podcast producer. He does great work. That's Holden Kellogg. And we have two new Bradley interns that are joining us. One is joining us on Monday, and one is joining us the following Monday. So we are, still growing steadily and getting a lot of, assistance to bring great content to the air. Let's see. I guess we'll go to the next slide here and talk about the INBA Awards. As you can see here, the Illinois News Broadcasters Association recognized WCBU with the first place honors in its Crystal Mike Awards in 2021 in the small market radio category. We were awarded Best Station and Best Digital Presence. Best digital presence includes our podcast, our daily news podcast On Deck, and it also includes our social media efforts of, just getting things posted for the community to see and getting news out there in that way as well. And now I'll hand it off to Anna.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Chumley. I actually have been a guest before at your Rotary and am a former Rotarian myself from Vernon Hills Mundelein up in the Chicago suburbs. So it's always fun to be part of a Rotary group and exploring getting back as a Rotarian myself, actually. But I did want to just note, I feel like Daniel kind of just slid over the awards section. And I think that's because our newsroom and our staff are so incredibly humble. But the work that they did to achieve that in the last year during a pandemic where we had to switch to most of our reporters were working from home. They were having to do Zoom interviews for the first time. It really is huge that they took away that honor as the best station in the state. It's something I think that they, exactly, deserve a round of applause for. But they are extremely humble. And I, as a huge WCBU fan, before I even started working here, am just so thankful and proud of our hardworking newsroom. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the programming we offer. And this is kind of one of the biggest changes the last 2 years that has occurred. As RC mentioned, we have been able to expand our staff significantly because of our new agreement. And what we've done with that is really put all of our efforts into creating more local content for the Peoria community. So these programs that you see right here are all new programs that we've been able to start. Our two kind of flagship programs that I hope that you have heard of, and if you haven't, check out are On Deck and All Things Peoria. So On Deck starts our day off each day. It's 9 minutes or less. Information that features kind of what's happening in the community. I always love hearing about what events are happening, what organizations are holding different events, and you can always kind of submit your information if you have an event you want to get put out there for everyone. And I also love hearing just like the highlights of the news each day. So that airs on our streaming on our website. It's obviously on the radio, but then it's also available as a podcast. So if you're not somebody who is in your car a lot, or, I don't even own a radio myself, you can listen to it on your smart speaker, podcast, kind of wherever it makes sense for you. So that starts off your day. And then at the end of the day, we have our show called All Things Peoria that just launched in October. And Daniel is our host of that show. And really what All Things Peoria, our main purpose with that show is to kind of tell the stories of Peoria that aren't being told other places. It's not just your typical, you're going to get the highlights of news of what's happening in Peoria, but we really try to dig deeper and tell more stories about what's happening in our community. The good, the bad, we want to shine the light on the things that, aren't getting the news. We are always looking for ideas. If you have a business that is doing something really cool, or a nonprofit that is, making great impacts in the community, we are always looking for leads on stories and things like that to connect with the audience and to share the stories out there. And then two of our arts programs that I'm specifically a big fan of. Out and About is a program we've had for a long time, actually, that we partner with Arts Partners, and Jen Gordon hosts that. That gives a feature each week on something happening in the community and the arts art scene going on. So anything from the Peoria Symphony Orchestra, what their next show is going to be, to featuring the Peoria Art Guild and what's happening there. So a wide variety of different arts things. So it's a great place to kind of figure out, hey, what do I want to do this weekend? And then one that I'm really proud that we brought together last year is WCBU and WGLT Presents, which was our way to support the arts community during COVID. So as we all know, that a lot of theaters and music organizations, they had to just halt their productions. So last year we donated airtime to arts programs. So the Peoria Symphony Orchestra, Bradley Theater, Heartland Festival Orchestra, we all gave us recordings of their performances and then gave away for them to at least get some music out there and to be able to still be kind of active in the community. So we saw such a great response from that last year that we continue that this year. You can actually catch PSO tomorrow night. So the Peoria Symphony Orchestra will air at 7 p.m. tomorrow on WCBU. So that's a little bit about our local programming. And like I said, that's kind of really where we've been able to grow and is where our main focus is that we want to be able to provide as much new local content to the community, because that's what we're all about. And obviously, as an NPR member station, we have the big NPR shows. You can start your day with the morning edition to get the kind of world news, fun programs on the weekend. We actually just rolled out a new weekend lineup that has some really cool new shows that I personally have learned a lot from. Some of the new shows that we have on the weekends, and then a lot of entertainment like Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. And so lots of different programs. And the thing I love, and I know Andrea was mentioning that her sons are like, oh, NPR. I think it's cool that it is the NPR programming is kind of expanding, and that our audience reach, people often think, oh, just, 40, 50-year-olds are listening to NPR. We really are seeing a wide variety of ages listening. And it's so cool to see like that her kids are starting to understand that, hey, I'm learning some cool things from NPR programming. So that's a little bit about our programming. Our funding, like RC mentioned, we are nonprofit and are funded completely by the community and grants. And we're so thankful for wonderful support in Peoria that has allowed us to balance the books the last 2 years. And it's, especially during COVID time, that is something that we are very proud of to have accomplished. So our community support mainly comes from individual donors and through our corporate partners. And so I did want to provide a little information on the different ways that our corporate partners can interact with our audience. So I primarily work with businesses in the community to help get their messaging out in front of our audience, and then that support that they give then helps grow our newsroom and helps us hire more interns and things like that. So a lot of people think of us as, oh, I can have a radio advertisement, but we are really a lot more than that. Our website is a very popular option for people. We have show sponsorships. So All Things Peoria right now is sponsored by the Charles Schwab branch of Peoria, and Palmore Wealth actually just started sponsoring On Deck. So we have lots of different opportunities for businesses specifically to support WCBU and connect with our very active, engaged audience. So I want to leave you with this information of how to kind of connect with us. So we actually did a presentation at another Rotary group recently, and not a single soul in the room had ever been on TikTok. So I don't know if you guys are the same, but we have a new TikTok account. And hopefully maybe one of you is a big TikTok fan. I'll check it out. But yes, oh, I got a thumbs up. That's better than the last presentation. But actually, Hannah Lani, our new reporter, is doing a lot of really cool things on TikTok, trying to give like a behind the scenes of how the news is made and how taking you on interviews and stuff like that. So even if you're not a TikTok person, it's still something cool to check out. So that's more, there are some glimpses of news on there, but that's just really cool to kind of see what's happening and how things, kind of how the news is made. But then on our Facebook page and our Twitter account, that's where we share out all of our news stories on those websites. So they're great places to go to kind of see what's happening. We're constantly posting new information on those sites. And then, like I said, you can access WCBU in so many different ways. So obviously we have 89.9 FM, WCBU.org. Any of your smart speakers, you can tell to just say, hey, Google, play WCBU, NPR One app. So there's just so many different ways to access information. And then finally, we have a newsletter. If you're somebody who doesn't want to have to like go out and search for the news, we have a newsletter that goes out usually about twice a week that gives the highlights stories of the week. So you can just have it right there in your inbox to check out. And like I mentioned throughout, we are always looking for news tips, for story ideas, anything like that. So I did put our news director, Tim Shelley's email up there for anyone who wants to write that down. If you have an idea for a story or an interview, we are always looking for those ideas and really appreciate the community's help in supporting WCBU, but also helping us find those stories and really be able to share the wide news of Peoria and the great news of Peoria with everyone in the community. So with that, I think we are going to open it up for questions. So I don't know how you want to facilitate that, but we are happy to take questions on any of things we went over. If you have questions about WCBU specifically.
Anna, if you want to stop sharing your screen, we'll try to pinpoint you guys and
Cool.
go around with a microphone.
This is a question for Daniel. Daniel, can you tell us the most embarrassing thing your father-in-law has ever done?
Oh my goodness. The most embarrassing thing my father-in-law, Mr. Jim Yoakum, has ever done. You know what? Nothing is coming to mind because they're all so entertaining. He's just a charming and entertaining guy. And, you know, it's all fun. As you all know, I'm sure.
Don't be shy.
I think it's really great that you guys went on TikTok, given that what your traditional demographic is for the station. How are you navigating moving into TikTok with that demographic, and how are you starting to incorporate the millennials and the Gen Zs?
Well, I'm going to let Anna handle the TikTok question because the answer I have specifically is I have no clue. You know, I about TikTok. We all kind of have our moments where maybe it's passed us by, or maybe some of you haven't had that, but TikTok might have been that point for me. I could maybe talk about some other initiatives, but Anna, if you want to talk about TikTok, get to it.
Sure. I think, with the younger generations, they're really looking for a lot of like interactive options and ways to learn more. They're like looking for that personal connection. And that's really, TikTok has given that opportunity. And, like you said, I think, and I mentioned earlier, the big misconception is that our audience is older. And when you look at the data, especially the data over the last few years have changed and skewed younger in our audience. I think the younger generations are more and more interested in what's happening in their community. And just kind of with the way of the world right now, there's so much going on that they're turning to news sources to kind of figure out what's happening. But I think, TikTok is definitely one of the ways. And just, I think we do a really good job of being diverse in where our offerings are. That, like I said, we're on the radio, and I personally, if I'm in my car, I listen to WCBU, but at home, I listen to it on my Google Home. I've actually have gotten in trouble during COVID, and when I was working at home and said, "Hey, Google, play WCBU," and then it started playing in the background of a presentation. But So it's really, I think we meet people where they're at, and that we have so many different ways that you can connect with the news, because everyone wants to see it differently. Some people want to read the story. Some people want to hear the 20-second soundbite. It's just being able to offer so many different ways to connect with the news, I think, is how we're trying to meet all generations, really, and all type of news consumers.
And Anna, you hit it right on the head about meeting people where they are. And, technology has given us an opportunity to do that. And it's really rewarding to see measurable growth. We've seen that on our podcasts, specifically when On Deck launched. It started small. We've seen consistent growth. We're able to measure how long people are staying on for. Same things with the podcast version of All Things Peoria. So again, I think with us, it's about kind of paying attention to what modes are available, what's catching on, and is that a fit for us to, again, reach a different segment of the audience, or maybe reach, the same audience in a different way. And somebody challenged me on this a couple of years ago, but think about it. Try to run over to Target and buy a radio right now. Just a plain old radio that most of us grew up with. Last time I looked a couple of years ago, I was able to find one. But yet, here WCBU is still serving the community.
And I gotta just mention also another way that NPR is making an effort to reach younger people is through some of the music programming, like World Cafe and Tiny Desk. These are NPR initiatives that, are definitely broadening the reach and just people's awareness of NPR and NPR stations in general.
I listen to WCBU all the time, NPR. I love the variety. And I am so glad that you guys are not like the two ladies from Saturday Night Live talking about bran muffins with Betty White. So thank you for not being that kind of public radio station.